Welcome to Monday Morning Detective. This is episode 13. And we're back again with Richard Cardo, our private eye on the JonBenet Ramsey homicide case in Boulder, Colorado. He is from Colorado Springs. Now, where we left off was Richard had profiled the ransom letter that was left behind at the scene, and he theorizes the initials SBTC at the end of the ransom letter can stand for the Southern Bell Telephone Company.
Well, let me correct
Okay.
that. Okay, that's what I ran with. But when I went over phone companies, I had to look at, of course, the names of different phone companies.
Right.
There were two. Okay, one was in Atlanta, right in Georgia, Southern Bell Telephone and Telegraph Company. And then there was one in Texas, Southwestern Bell Telephone Company. So if I stick to my theory, okay, telephone and telegraph, he would have put a second T down. He was so specific about putting the C, that second T would have been there. So I had to eliminate it, even though the Ramseys were living, in Atlanta at some point. So I had to go with Southwestern Bell Telephone Company.
Oh, I said Southern, and it was
Right.
You
So I
actually
wanted to be more
believe
specific. Yeah.
it's Southwestern.
I looked for the phone company, and
And that's important because Richard's theory includes the fact that the freakers, Phreakers, that he believes are involved in this, he believes that at least one of them has a tie to this Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, either having worked there or perhaps their parents worked there, some kind of personal connection with Southwestern. And I said Southern, and we don't even know if there is a Southern Bell Telephone Company. Could be, but you researched it. You didn't find
there was a Southern Bell Telephone and Telegraph. So I eliminated it,
right,
because I stuck to the the facts and the information.
Right.
Now his connection to he was staying down in that area, and doing his phone stuff over there. So he got entangled with them a couple times. He even went to their building and messed with the rugs.
Wait, you say he? Are we speaking
the
specifically?
ransom note writer.
Okay.
Specifically.
As someone that you believe you know the name of.
Right.
And we'll just call him B.
Okay.
Is that?
That's good.
The initial B.
Right.
And that's vague enough. He's told me the name. He knows the name. He has located him. They have conversed. The guy denies, but he's also he's threatened him, and not with a lawsuit.
Well,
he's threatened.
Right.
He's threatened him with personal harm, and the group. This person is part of a group of freakers.
Right.
And he's acting somewhat guilty, but we'll go on past that. You presented this information to Lou Smith, who accepted it.
Right. Well, there was other. Let me
Okay.
point out one more thing in ransom note. I don't just jump on one thing and then whatever.
Right.
It was a breadcrumb. So I had to validate. Okay, when you have a theory, you got to validate. You can't be full of crap. Okay, you got to really follow the information and back it up. Back up what you say. So I went back to the ransom note. Okay, the very first thing was, Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. Okay, you read a ransom note. You don't listen to a ransom note. But they're used to, that's part of their jargon. Okay. Then it went on to other things. It says, if we monitor you getting the money early, if we catch you talking to a stray dog, and so on and so on. But they never
That was
say,
actually a phrase in the letter?
Yes. Yeah. In the ransom note, we catch you, if you alert bank authorities, if we monitor you, we catch you, etc. But they never say the most common thing to say. If we see you. Exactly. If we see you, here are the consequences. They never say see.
They say hear or
Monitor.
monitor. And
Why? because they're not watching, they're
monitoring,
right,
listening.
Yeah. So, but forget about that. The one sentence in the whole ransom note is all you needed. There was one sentence that they put in that ransom note. Okay, when I profile, if you want to learn profiling, one thing you want to look for is skill set. What is the skill set? What is their skill set? Okay, and they mention it. They say we are familiar with law enforcement counter procedures and tactics. Counter procedures, right, and tactics. Counter procedures to what? A kidnapping, and that is tapping and tracing the phone line. They tap and trace that phone line when the call comes in. They are familiar with this counter procedure. They know phones.
Okay. Lou took this all in.
Yes.
And he appreciated it. Thanked you and was welcomed. They gave you an invite anytime you had other information.
Actually, he was a little more stronger than that. He said,
marry
sometimes he works with somebody.
No, he didn't say marry me.
Yeah. No, his wife Barbara was there. So a wonderful lady. Well, she's passed, but so is he. He said, he asked me to stay on this. He said, I want you to keep working on your line. Okay. And, I told him I didn't really want, I had a life, my family, music, career, and, but, I said, well, I'll think about it. Okay. Well, he said something extraordinary to me. He said that many times in a lot of his cases, someone helps him find a thing. I found that hard to believe because that guy, you do not want a guy like Lou Smith after you if you commit a crime. He looked through me like, of course, he has to think I'm like a suspect or something.
Right.
He looked through me like I was a piece of glass. Just, I was like, wow. But so what happened was a couple days later, and this is more than 6 years after the crime, they were railroading they were talking about the parents again, that they were guilty and this and that, the other thing about the crime. So I had enough. I said, okay, I'm going to work on this.
Okay. Now, tell us about your meeting with John or
John Ramsey. Well, that was a lot later. I didn't want to bother him. You have to understand victimology. When someone is a victim of crime, because he's still a victim, he's still suffering. Okay, you don't want to mess with people like that. You want to talk to all the experts around him. There's not much you can do, right? I already got all the information I needed from him, from his book, and so I knew they were innocent. He's a good man, good Christian. So, but I was trying to leverage Boulder. I realized unless the case is removed from Boulder's jurisdiction, it will never be solved. Never. Okay. And we'll get into that, I guess, later if we get into it. But Boulder will not solve this case. Okay. It will not. And they have reasons for it. Okay. Not good for good reasons. So I wanted to talk to John about pressing, trying to, I want him to sue Boulder and get that case removed from their clutches and into another jurisdiction. Okay, like Colorado Springs. Okay, it's not so political over there. Anyhow, so I contacted my source of contacts. Right, this lady is great. She, is in contact with all the players, and she's been fighting for him tooth and nail. And she was the one who helped hook me up with Lou Smith. So I talked to her, and she passed my info to John Ramsey. And he calls me. He says, we set a date. He was flying into Denver Airport. And he's going to have a layover, so we can meet.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, and that's big. There's a lot of crazy people out there, but he wants to get his daughter's murder. He's motivated. I think this was at the time where he had remarried. His wife already passed, and he's starting his life up again and starting building. I thought this might be a good time to, work with him and, give him my information because I think.
Plus, you weren't asking for any money.
Right. No, this was totally.
Because PIs come out of the woodwork when
right. Yeah.
something like this happens. So You were doing it on your own and at your own expense. And how much did you tell him? What did you tell him?
Well, first I wanted to size him up. So we were at the airport. I see him coming along. Very affable guy, very pleasant. I said, "Oh, this is great." And he's kind of come back and everything. And so we go over to like a set of tables where I guess people have coffee and whatever. So I explained a little bit about him. My thing with Lou Smith to put him at ease a little bit.
Right.
And then I pull out my big binder. You've seen this ugly thing, right? And I opened it up and I start walking him through there. And he was listening, but, probably he's a little jaded, right? Hearing all kinds of theories and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I hope you don't go through the weeds for him.
Right.
Yes. You got to keep it short.
Right. But I explained to him who I thought it was and the other thing and the reason why I was there. I explained to him a couple of things about like how Boulder was a little bit complicit. Okay, I had talked about Commander Eller. Okay, and what he had said during that John Mark Carth interview. Okay, in which he was surprised. He was really surprised that his remark tended to mean that he no longer thought they were suspects. Okay, in fact, I put it a little stronger, But so that was good. But now here was the ugly thing I had to do. And when you're investigating, you're going to talk to people. Sometimes you got to do something. It's like pulling a Band-Aid or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really a bad thing. But I needed to confirm something. I had gotten copies of the ransom note writer's handwriting, samples off the internet. Okay. I sent to some experts. In fact, there was one expert I sent it to who had worked for Boulder, now analyzing ransom note. And their question was if I could give them actual handwriting samples, not just the copies. Now, there was no way I could do that, but it told me enough that, yeah, they thought it looked a lot like it too. They wanted to see more. Okay, the actual.
It looked a lot like what?
The handwriting on the ransom note. See, I got samples, exemplars.
Oh, of the people that you suspect.
The ransom note writer. Yeah.
Got it.
And then I sent it to these experts.
So this person B, we called him B.
Right.
You got handwriting samples from
Off
B
the internet.
off the internet.
Off the internet. Because
And
he's a nut.
compared to
The ransom note.
note, it looks very similar to
Right.
the trained eye.
Right, because it's very stylistic. It's the very first thing. It's tinged greenish. Okay. The ransom note was like bluish. Okay, so it was very close to the color. Okay, so I let him get there, go through the pages. When he turned that page and saw that one, guys, I got to tell you, as affable, as put together, he's starting his life again, putting businesses and getting married and moving on. When he saw that, I saw a shattered man. John Ramsey, and of course, big protector, wealthy, successful, could give his daughter anything she wants, right? Was in the military, he could protect his family. Failed, in his mind, in his heart. Failed to protect his daughter.
Okay, so we'll be back with our next episode next week.